Welcome back to another TBR prompt jar picks my reads. I can't believe that this is the second one we're doing and it's for March. That's crazy. I'll link the first video I did below that I did for February. I picked 6 prompts there and I think that's a pretty good number. I believe I've read about 4 of the books that were on my prompts and then I've read a few more books that were mood reads. But when I film my wrap up video for February, you'll see all the books I've read. So I think we're going to stick with 6 again today. If you're new to this, there's little prompts in this jar, and then it might say something like read a book that's thrifted, and then you'll go to your TBR list and pick a book that matches that prompt. It's just a fun way to get me through this big physical TBR that I have behind me. I also do have like 5 more books that I have recently bought that I can't fit on my shelf just yet now. Let's pick prompt number 1. I do have a bit of a cold, so I apologize for the nasally feel. I don't want non-fiction. Oh, a book on my Kindle. So let me go grab my Kindle so I can have a look at some of the options. I got my Kindle for Christmas and this is what like the back of it looks like. Looks beautiful. I got these stickers in the pop socket just from Temu. I really need to get better at using my Kindle, so this is a perfect one. I'm also going away in March just for a girls' weekend trip, so it could be good to take my Kindle there. So let me have a look at my library. I have the Mind F series, which I've heard amazing things about, so I could read that. I could get into Frida McFadden because I haven't actually read any of her. So I have by her Never Lie and The Housemaid. Got The Cruel Prince on here, The Dressmaker. Those are a few of the ones. I think that I might pick The Housemaid because I do want to give Frida McFadden a try. That is part of duology. I believe it's like a mystery thriller style and I've heard just such good things about it. I don't think it's very long either. So the first book we're going to pick is The Housemaid by Frida McFadden, and that's very exciting that I can read one off my Kindle. So prompt 1 is done. Woo! Prompt number 2. Small town romance. Okay, I have some things that are coming to mind. Let me grab them. A few of the options. I could read Heartless by Elsie Silver. This is the second book in the Chestnut Spring series. I loved the first one. It was actually on my TBR prompts for February and I really enjoyed it. What I know about this book is there's an age gap, single parent, he gets a nanny in, and then as a normal small town romance goes, they will fall in love, no doubt. I really liked the first one. I read it really fast. Funnily enough, the first one's about bull riding, and then I went to an American bar down the road just for dinner the other night and they had bull riding on the TV, and I was telling my partner like, oh, like the bull gets 50 points, the rider gets 50 points, pretending I knew what I was going on about. So that's option 1. Option 2 is I could start with the Knock 'em Out series, things we never got over. I have all 3, I've had them for so long and I have just not picked them up. I just haven't been gravitated towards them. I actually don't know very much about this book, so let me have a quick read. Okay, so it sounds like maybe a bit of a grumpy sunshine. The male main character who says it's a bad boy barber who prefers his life the way he takes his coffee alone. And then you have Naomi who is trying to run away from her wedding. This sounds pretty cool. Sounds like there's an evil twin involved as well. It is kind of long for a romance book, so that's really the only thing. Although the last book I'm going to show you is crazy long. This is 483 pages, so that's another option. And then the final one, I could be wrong. I'm not sure if the Boys of Tommen is a small town romance. I know that it's a rugby romance, very emotional read, very chunky read, but I need to start reading them and I haven't started it yet. This is just intimidating though. Like if I put this on my TBR list for March, will I get anything else read? What I know about this book is there's a lot of found family. There's some trigger warnings that you should definitely check before you read them. I know that it's going to be an emotional read, so I'm not sure. I think prompt number 2, I might pick Heartless by Elsie Silver, given I did read Powerless just last month as well, so whilst it's fresh in my mind. So that is book number 2 for this month's TBR. Prompt number 3. I don't want to look. I'm nervous. I don't know why this makes me so nervous. Oh, a book you bought because of the cover. This is something I tend to do when I go to like indie bookstores. So let me have a look. I'm sure that there's a lot on here that I bought because of the cover. Honestly, I have quite a few options, but I'm gonna go through these four. We have Chai Time at Cinnamon Gardens. This was on my last month's TBR and I didn't get to it. So if you want to hear a little bit more about it, you can definitely check that video out. I believe it's got a fantasy element, but it's actually set in an elderly home. And it's actually set in Australia as well. But that's what, look at the cover of it. I think it's just beautiful. So that is an option. We also have Tom Lake. I think this is general fiction, but look at that cover. I don't know very much about this book at all. It says, this is a story about Peter Duke, who went on to be a famous actor. This is a story about falling in love with Peter Duke, who wasn't famous at all. It's about falling so wildly in love with him the way one will at 24 that it felt like jumping off a roof at midnight. There was no way to foresee the mess it would come to in the end. Okay, so I think it's got romance element in there, but I do believe that it is a general fiction. It's not too long and this text looks like beautiful in there. I love the bigger margins. But look at that, stunning! Another option we have, I only got this recently, but oh, beautiful. This one is called Lady Tan Circle of Woman by Lisa C. It is set in 15th century China, which is pretty cool. Two women are born under the same sign, the metal snake, but life will take the friends on very different paths. And then you follow the two different women and how their lives are quite separate. So I think this would be like a historical fiction. This sounds really interesting, to be honest. I did just pick it up though, but I am gravitating towards it. So that is an option. And then the final option I picked up like ages ago. So it's called Sparrow, and this is what its cover looks like. It is by James Hines. I truly don't know anything about this, so let me give you a little synopsis. Raised in a brothel at the edge of a dying empire, a boy of no known origins creates his own identity. He is Sparrow, who sings without reason and can fly from trouble. His world is a kitchen, a herb-scented garden, a loud and dangerous tavern, and the mysterious upstairs where the prostitute slaves from every corner of the empire conduct their business. This sounds very, very cool as well. I don't actually know what genre this will be. I'll have a look online and I'll pop the genre here for you. I think though for me it's going to be between Lady Tan Circle of Woman and Tom Lake. I think I'm actually going to go with this one, the Lady Tan Circle of Woman, a historical fiction. We already have a romance in there and a thriller, so let's chuck in a historical fiction. It doesn't look too hard to read either. I believe it's just over 300 pages. 340. So that would be a good read. So that is book number 3. Prompt number 4. Let's see. A book that starts with the first letter of your name. So I need a book that starts with B. Let's have a look on my shelf what I have, and I'm going to pick some options. I actually don't know if I have many that start with B. So let's have a look. I found 3 very, very different options. So the first one is Belladonna. This is about a person who was orphaned and has been raised by a string of guardians, each more interested in her wealth than her well-being. And each has met an untimely end. Her only remaining relatives are the elusive Hawthorns, an eccentric family living at Thorngrove, an estate both glittering and gloomy. So, the main character, obviously orphaned, and everyone that she is looked after by, everyone that she gets close to, she dies. So that could be really good. Sounds like more of maybe like a gothic fantasy. It sounds, yeah, it's romantic, gothic, confused. World of wealth, desire, and betrayal. That sounds awesome. Otherwise, we have Betting on You by Lynn Painter. I have read Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter. Loved that book. I think Betting on You, I could be wrong, but I haven't heard as many good things about it. But so this is just like a romance. Should be like low stakes, fairly easy to read. That's another option. And then again, we have Binding 13. We could read Binding 13. I really do want to read it. I'm just intimidated. I think I'm going to go with Belladonna, but I might read Binding 13 if I like want a mood read. But for this pick, I'm going to go for Belladonna. Got like a very good variety so far. We have 2 prompts left. So prompt number 5. A book with 5 words in the title. I feel like That is going to be difficult, but let me see what I can think of. So I do have a few options, like The Good Girl's Guide to Murder, Things We Never Got Over, The Dictionary of Lost Words, but when I counted the number of words on this book, I knew it was going to be this. Currently reading the third Magnolia Parks. I'm filming a reading vlog, which I think will be out after this video, so keep an eye on that, but I'm loving it. Like, I hated the first Magnolia Parks book, and I wasn't going to read the rest of the series, but so many people love it that I read Daisy Hates. Loved it. Tell me why I rated that 5 stars. Like, loved it. And that was my TBR prompt from last month, which was read a book that you're putting off. And that was Daisy Hates, because I assumed I didn't like it. So this brings us to now. This is Daisy Hates The Great Undoing. I am so excited. This is the second book from Daisy's point of view, the 4th book in the series. I should definitely finish the 3rd book before the end of February. So this is what we're gonna read. Woo! I'm sure most of you by now know what the Magnolia Parks universe is, but essentially it is very, very, very rich London society. You follow Magnolia and BJ in the Magnolia Parks books, and then in the Daisy ones you follow Daisy and Christian. I assume we get Christian's point of view in here. I'm currently reading the 3rd book, and Daisy's currently with someone else in the Magnolia one, but that's usually how the books go. I'm so excited. I prefer Daisy. I think that's controversial. I think most people prefer Magnolia, but actually comment below, Magnolia or Daisy. I'd love to know. So that is book number 5. We only have 1 prompt left. What is the lucky last prompt gonna be? Oh, a book from a genre you never pick up. I tend to read fantasy and romance, and then obviously romantasy, so I could do general fiction, but I have read a few of those. I've read a few like World War II historical fictions book. I don't really do much thriller, so maybe either general fiction, literary fiction, or like a thriller book. So let me pick a few and then we can go through them. I think I know which one I'm gonna pick already, but I'm gonna grab a few options. I have 3 different books. The first one is The Naturals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. So this is the author of The Inheritance Games, the same author. This is YA, and you are following like a group of teenagers that have different special skills, and they're helping the FBI find a serial killer. So I believe it would obviously make this like a thriller mystery book. I think that this is super easy to get through. It is part of a series. I think there's 4 books, so I could start this. It's only 308 pages too. I am nervous because it is quite like young adult, like the characters are teenagers, so I'm not sure if I'll like it. But then again, a lot of people online like Rachel Catherine and some of the other book girlies really do like this series, so that is an option. And then the one that I was thinking of, however now I don't know, is Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. I think it's just a general fiction. You're following 2 people through their friendship from childhood to adulthood. They are building like a game, a video game. They're both into gaming. I think they become friends in their younger years because they both spend a lot of time in hospital, and then you follow them like a decade later. That's what I know. A lot of people who've read this love it. I think that it can be quite an emotional read, but it's definitely on my list to read. So that is another option. So that's a general fiction. And then we have, I think this would classify as another thriller. I think it'd be a thriller. The Silent Patient. This is a very old book talk book. Went viral probably a couple of years ago now, at least, like maybe 3 years ago. But let me read you the back of it because it sounds a little bit terrifying. Alicia Berenson lived a seemingly perfect life until one day 6 years ago when she shot her husband in the head 5 times. Since then, she hasn't spoken a single word. It's time to find out why. That sounds so scary. It is 340 pages, so it's not too long either. It should be easy to fly through, but I'm scared. Like, it's not I don't like to watch horror, thriller, true crime, any of that, and that sounds kind of like this. So it's kind of a tight one out of these 3. I actually don't know which one I should pick. Let's think about what I already have. I have a thriller, I have a historical fiction, romance, like gothic fantasy, and then another romance. So really any of these. Maybe I'll pick Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow, since we do have the Housemaid Tales, which I think is like the mystery thriller aspect. But I could change my mind mood reading and I might read The Naturals or The Silent Patient as well. So let's go with Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Seven. Beautiful cover, by the way. Let's run through the 6 books. So the first one is on Kindle and it's The Housemaid Tale by Frida McFadden, which will be a very, very interesting read. The second book we have on this month's list is Lady Tan's Circle of Woman. This looks so good. I'm excited to read this. I think it's maybe what I'm most excited for. Actually, that's a lie. Daisy Hates is what I'm most excited for. Then we have Heartless by Elsie Silva. This is the second book in the Chestnut Springs following the older brother from the first book. Loved the first book. Very easy to read. Nice palette cleanser, which could be good actually after the historical fiction or the fantasy read. Then we have Belladonna by Adeline Grace. I am excited to read this because I do think there's a second book in the series. Could be wrong, but I do believe there's a second book. So that is the 4th book on March to be read list. Then we have Daisy Hates, The Great Undoing by Jessa Hastings. So excited. This will be the first book that I read for sure because I'm currently finishing up the 3rd book in the Magnolia Park series. I love it, and without this TBR jar, it probably would have put off Daisy Hates until the very end. But I love it. Let me know if I should get the new covers, by the way, because I want to buy the nicer covers of these books, but I also know that maybe that's silly to spend my money on. But let me know. And then last but not least, Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow, our general fiction book. So these are the 5 physical books, and then we have one on the Kindle for this TBR list. I'm so excited. We have an awesome mix of books in here, like lots of different genres, which should be good. If any of these books really interest you and you want to see a reading vlog to hear my thoughts a bit more in depth, definitely let me know in the comments below because I can definitely film that for you. And keep an eye out for the wrap-up video, which should be coming soon. I just need to actually film it. And the reading vlog of Magnolia Park's The Long Way Home. As always, please don't forget to comment, like and subscribe. Go follow me over on Instagram and TikTok. They're both Brooke McQuaid. And I'll see you in my next video. Bye!